Did William Shatner, former Star Trek star, just slip up about a coming New World Order planned catastrophic event? Last week, the whole world watched as TV's Captain Kirk went where no other Trekkie star had gone before, into space on a 10-minute Blue Origin flight. Good for him. Probably a terrible waste of money, but good for him. But in an interview after his flight, he appeared to slip up and say something maybe he shouldn't have. Let's watch the interview.
And the realization once again, the fragility of this planet, coming catastrophic event, and we all have to clean this act up now.
A coming catastrophic event? What does he know that we don't? Let's listen to that clip again.
And the realization once again, the fragility of this planet, coming catastrophic event, and we all have to clean this act up now.
Wow.
Yes, he definitely referred to a coming event, a catastrophic event. This is last day's breaking news with Nelson Walters. That event is what we're discussing today. Now, after Shatner's slip-up, how did the Today Show staff handle it?
Well said.
Well said.
I kept thinking about that, saying they said when you go to space, they should have sent a poet, you know, to describe it. Well, they kind of did. Bill Shatner, thanks you,
Bill. Thank
for
you.
They called him a poet. That was pretty quick on their feet. They covered that up pretty well, but it wasn't poetry. Catastrophic events aren't a poetic term. Now, if Shatner was the only media person talking about things like an event or world-shaking catastrophes, well, we might just write it off as a 90-year-old guy mixing up his words. But he isn't the only one, the only in-the-know media person to reference the event, as they call it. Last month, Joe Biden also suspiciously remarked, quote, "When the new pandemic comes again, as it will," end of quote, during a White House speech, we were all taken back a little bit. As it will? Really, President Biden? It was 100 years since the last pandemic. Isn't that the natural spacing? What else does Biden know? Is he another older man mixing up his words, as he frequently does, or again, is he another older man who knows something, slipping up and blowing the cover on what the global elite have planned? You know, Bill Gates and World Health Organization Director Tedros Ghebreyesus have both warned about, quote, the next pandemic. And of course, in January 2017, Dr. Fauci ominously predicted that there will be a surprise outbreak during the Trump administration. Now, how in the world did he know that if he didn't have inside information?
Is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak.
But perhaps most interesting of all, in 2018, author Douglas Rushkoff interviewed 5 extremely wealthy hedge fund investors in which the financial gurus wanted to discuss, quote, the event. Rushkoff wrote, quote, "The event was their euphemism for the environmental collapse, social unrest, nuclear explosion, unstoppable virus, or Mr. Robot hack that takes everything down." Takes everything down. So that we could build it back better? Isn't that the slogan of the World Economic Forum? The one also adopted by Biden? I think it is. But the billionaires in 2018 were not interested in building back. And that's very, very important. Their questions centered around escaping what was coming and surviving. They told Rushkoff that after the event, armed guards would be required to protect their compounds from the angry mobs. But how would they pay the guards once money was worthless? That's a very important point. In this previous video, we discussed how everyday people, everyday Christians like you and me, can prepare for the day when money is worthless. If you want to see it, you can just click in the upper right-hand corner, and there'll be a link down in the description. Now, let's get back to what Rushkoff was hearing from these global elites about their plans for how to overcome this problem of money being worthless. What would stop the guards from choosing their own new leader? The billionaires had considered using special combination locks on the food storage area that only they would know, or making guards wear disciplinary collars of some kind, like a dog, in order to guarantee their survival, or maybe building robots to serve as guards and workers. These are the kind of deluded thoughts running through the minds of men making decisions on a global basis. Please consider that carefully. These are the guys that the New World Order and the United Nations considers thought leaders. But look at what kind of thoughts they have. Protected compounds for the rich, is a very biblical topic. In Revelation 6, we see that upon the return of Jesus, the rich and powerful run into such compounds and into their caves. Then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slave and free, hid in the caves and among the rocks and the mountains. They called to the mountains and the rocks, "Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb." So these hiding places exist in the Bible. But the event the rich and famous are worried about isn't the return of Jesus. It should be, but it isn't. It's an event previous to that. And these gentlemen weren't concerned with what was best for the world. They were preparing for a digital future that was about insulating themselves from a very real and present danger that they were certain was coming. For them, the future of technology was about just one thing: escape and survival. So, how are they so sure the event is coming? And why didn't they think they could stop it? Probably through inside information, the same kind that Shatner, Biden, Gates, Tedros, and Fauci had. Those higher on the food chain had told them that this event is coming. These billionaires were looking at human survival as a type of video game that someone could win and the rest of the globe would lose. Who will the winners be? Musk, Bezos, Gates, Zuckerberg? These billionaires try to imagine themselves as the winners of the digital future, a winner in a take-all stakes game. And driving that survivalist game, again, is this overriding idea that there will be a catastrophic event, one they don't have the power to stop, the same one Shatner spoke of, and the same one Today hosts seem to want to cover up for him. If this event is a foregone conclusion in the billionaires' minds, preparing for it will become the primary focus of their lives. And they weren't interested in how to avoid a calamity when they spoke to Rushkoff. They considered it inevitable. For all their wealth and power, they didn't believe they could affect the future. Again, so let's answer that question. Why was that? Probably because, although they're billionaires, they know, because of their inside information, that a more powerful force is going to bring about the event. A satanically empowered force that runs the New World Order. There is a real sadness to that, because overcoming that force has already been accomplished on the cross by Jesus. And the escape that these billionaires are dreaming of is better than anything they could ever think or imagine. Jesus rescues his faithful servants right before the real event, the wrath of God, which is poured out on those hiding in the rocks and caves, as we saw back in Revelation 6. The Bible tells us we are to pray for our enemies, so let's consider praying for these pathetic billionaires who have no hope. You may wonder, Nelson, should we really pray for them? Yes, that's exactly what Jesus says to do. However, barring a conversion on their part, as we said, survival is their goal. And Rushkoff's discussion with these billionaires eventually devolved into a single topic: transhumanism, downloading their minds onto a supercomputer and surviving that way. And if this is their primary mode of reaching eternal life, you can expect that they are going to pour their money, technology, and talent into trying to make this possible. They were desperate people in their conversation with Rushkoff. Does the Bible speak of this as well? Of the creation of a worldwide supercomputer into which all minds are eventually connected? This channel thinks it might speak of this. We believe it may be the mysterious prophecy about the image of the beast found in Revelation 13. Because not only the rich and famous will want to escape the end times, but also everyday people. Do you remember the earliest days of the pandemic? New Yorkers fled the state to travel to other states with lower virus numbers. Many of them ended up in my healthcare practice in North Carolina. So I witnessed this escapism for myself. So downloading your mind onto a computer will be a very popular option when everything seems hopeless in the end times. The escape pod for the unsaved who don't plan on escaping with the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So how close are we to something like that happening? The experts say it might happen as soon as 2030. If so, you need to understand more about this coming threat. So click right here to keep watching and learn how the mark of the beast, worship of the beast, and image of the beast might all be connected to this type of technology. Till then, this is Nelson, and I'll see you there.